What if I told you that one of the greatest minds in human history was once thought to be mentally slow? That's right. Albert Einstein, the man whose name is now synonymous with genius, was almost written off as a child. When Einstein was born in 1879, his parents panicked. His head was unusually large and oddly shaped. They feared something was wrong with their baby. Fortunately, within weeks, his head returned to normal, but their worries didn't end there. Einstein didn't speak a single word until he was 4 years old. Imagine that. While other children were laughing, playing, and talking, young Albert sat in silence, whispering to himself, practicing sentences in his head before finally saying them aloud. Many people around him thought he would never amount to anything. But then, one small moment changed everything. At the age of 5, his father handed him a simple pocket compass. Albert stared at the moving needle, mesmerized. Why does it always point north? He wondered. That tiny compass ignited a fire inside him, a curiosity that would never burn out. By 6, he was learning the violin. By 10, he was teaching himself. And by 12 years old, Albert Einstein had already taught himself geometry. At 15, he had mastered calculus. His brilliance was clear, but there was a problem. Einstein hated the rigid, disciplined style of his teachers. He felt suffocated. So, at just 15 years old, he dropped out of school and left Germany to avoid military service. His parents were terrified. Their son was a dropout, with no job, no degree, and no clear future. But Albert didn't give up. He applied to the Swiss Federal Institute of Technology. Surely he'd ace it, right? Wrong. Einstein failed the entrance exam. Yes, the man we now call the greatest genius of the 20th century actually failed. He excelled in math and physics, but his other subjects pulled him down. Still, he refused to quit. On his second attempt, he passed and finally began formal studies. It was there he met Mileva Maric, the only woman in his section, who later became his wife. But after graduation, life hit another wall. For nearly a decade, Einstein couldn't get a single academic job. His professors knew he was brilliant, but they disliked his rebellious, non-traditional personality, so they refused to recommend him. Imagine that, being too smart, too different, and being punished for it. Needing money, Einstein took a boring job as a clerk in a patent office. Most people would have given up on their dreams at that point, but not him. Einstein used the monotony of his job as a secret weapon. While everyone thought he was wasting away behind a desk, he was quietly reshaping the universe in his mind. And then came the breakthrough. In his spare time, he wrote 4 revolutionary papers in 1 year. Among them, the theory of relativity and the world's most famous equation, E equals mc squared. At first, the world didn't even notice. He was nominated for the Nobel Prize, but didn't win, not once, not twice, but for 11 years straight. Finally, in 1921, he received the Nobel Prize in Physics. From the boy who barely spoke to the man who rewrote science, Albert Einstein became the most influential physicist of the 20th century. But here's the secret. Einstein himself never thought of himself as special. He once said, "I have no special talent. I am only passionately curious." That's the real lesson. You don't need to be born a genius. You need curiosity. You need the courage to fail, to make mistakes, to ask questions no one else is asking. Because here's the truth. A person who never made a mistake never tried anything new. So don't be afraid to try. Don't be afraid to fail. And most of all, don't be afraid to follow your passion, no matter how impossible it seems. You don't have to be the next Einstein, but you can be the best version of you. So I ask you, what's your story?